Thanks for watching, everybody. Really exciting and special international edition of Be Better Golf Live right now. I have with me Justin Tang, my producer, who's with me a lot of times, and also OTHMAN ALMULLA, one of the top players in the whole world and one of the top Middle Eastern players ever to get as high in the world ranking as he has from that part of the world. I think is almost unprecedented. Othman, before we hear about you, tell us you're from Saudi Arabia, right?
Correct.
Before you, like who are some of the local golfers that you guys would even have to look up to?
Interesting that you bring that up because I'm the first professional golfer from Saudi Arabia. Golf in the region has been not one of the biggest sports for a long time. We have a very big amateur kind of regional event that happens every year where the best golfers from the Arab region come together and play an individual and a team competition. And that's, I think, 46 years old now. And
Okay.
historically, Morocco, Bahrain, and Egypt were like at the forefront of all those events. And
Yeah, there's been a lot of good Moroccan golfers.
yes, and it's
Uh,
it's interesting because like all those countries, someone high up in the country loves golf and they played golf and kind of like opened the doors to golf being played for everyone in the country, and that's kind of how they got their segue into the sport. I looked up to the Moroccan, Bahrainis, and Egyptians initially, and then the world stage, obviously. I started playing golf at a time when Tiger Woods was smashing the record book, so
right.
that's kind of who my golfing hero is.
So tell us, you said it was kind of a weird story how you got into
So
golf.
so yeah.
How did you first start doing it?
So I grew up in America. My parents were finishing their bachelor's degree in Kentucky, in Eastern Kentucky, and we moved back when I was 7. And I found it hard to kind of integrate into like a different kind of society as a young kid. And I found an easy way to kind of make friends was sports, and I excelled at soccer, and which is one of the biggest sports in the Middle East. And that kind of became like the thing that broke the ice with me and my friends here. And I became very proficient and started playing for some youth clubs, and then some wanted to sign with one of the big clubs in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia where I grew up. And kind of the agreement with my parents was as long as my grades were good, I could continue playing soccer 6 days a week or whatever. So I got B's instead of A's one year. So there's no soccer for the summer, which is like a catastrophe to me. First couple days, I'm like, my mom will budge, my mom will budge, and it's funny. She's like, no, look, we gave you a lot of leeway, so let's just see how the summer goes. So one of my expat
So in the
friends,
summer, is there school in during the summer?
no, so I'm sitting at home
Oh,
bored.
so yeah, right. Yeah.
So I lived in an expat community in the east coast of Saudi Arabia in Dhahran, where the headquarters of Aramco is. And one of my American friends was like, let's go play golf. I'm like, dude, you must be out of your mind.
Yeah.
It's like 45 degrees outside, and like, I'm not gonna go mingle
Celsius.
Celsius, yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go
So
mingle with people that are like
translate that for us. What is that like 97
more than
for?
97. That's like in the hundreds.
Uh, oh wow.
It's
Yeah.
not pleasant,
Yeah.
which is why kind of I never take anyone to play golf in the summer if they're new. Anyways, one of my expat friends was like, let's go play golf. He convinces me to leave the house, and we go to the golf course, and I'm expecting like a beautiful golf course like we see on TV, but it was a sand golf course. So basically, like
Right.
dirt, and then the greens are like a sand oil mix that gets brushed, and he kind of like drags me along. And I was intrigued by the sport, and I hated to lose. I was super competitive by nature, and my friends that I was playing with were way better at it than I was. So kind of became like a challenge to myself to keep playing every day. It got to the point at the end of the summer where I was taking my friends' clubs and going to practice, and he's like, "Man, I'm done. It was just a hobby for me." That was my first taste of golf.
You moved to the US. I know that you attended IJGA. Tell us a little bit about that
So
experience.
I started playing golf the summer when I turned 15, and I fell in love with it. I started playing a lot, practicing a lot. There's no academies or anything. We had, I think, at the time I started playing golf, maybe one grass golf course in the middle of the country and 5 sand golf courses. I started to excel. I just practiced every day. I just figured it out. I got on the national team a year later because golf was so new in this in the country that the national team at the time was some of the older employees, Saudis, who were like 4 to 8 handicaps, just avid golfers that picked it up when they were caddies on one of the sand golf courses.
When you got on the national team, Othman, what do you think you would have shot at like a normal American Muni course?
Probably in the high 70s.
Okay, you would have broken
Yeah,
87.
yeah. So I started playing at
Okay.
15.
That's pretty good to just teach yourself and get to
Yeah,
that
I used to
level when
play a big
yeah.
slinging hook. It's a softer draw now, but like I used to play a big draw, and like the sand greens were very receptive, and you kind of just figured it out. Like, we weren't
Mhm.
playing the tips at the tournament, so like breaking 80s probably, I'd say probably 76 to 84 was a good barometer. The year after that, I started to shoot like low 70s, like around par. Started to go to Dubai to get some coaching. And then I convinced my parents that I might be able to play collegiate golf somewhere if I could go to an academy and like be in an academy for a year. And that's where IJGA came along. A friend of mine was
Okay.
planning to go there as well. So my parents took a pretty bold decision to send me to boarding school, which wasn't something that's usually done. We have good schooling, public and private at home, and then people usually go
Is
abroad
that
for
the
college.
school in St. Petersburg, Florida, that
No,
one?
so that I think that one's IMG. I went to International Junior Golf Academy in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So it was
Oh,
IJGA, I
the
went to Gilchrist, and then I went to Hank Haney, and I think it's back to IJGA now. It's a pretty cool program. You go to school from 8 to 12, have lunch break, and then 2 to 6, you're getting tutelage from some pretty cool teachers. We were at Sea Pines, so like Harbor Town, which is an amazing place to like play golf. Um, it was my first kind of experience playing internationally recognized golf tournaments on the International Junior Golf Tour. It was eye-opening. Like I excelled quickly because I like to grind and I was like kind of scrappy. A little bit of technical stuff got me in a really good position to score well, and then it was good. It was a great experience. I think coming from Saudi Arabia and then going abroad and kind of being immersed in a place where there's a very diverse group of people going to school with kind of the same aim that I had to make something of golf was amazing.
Oh, so did you end up going doing college golf?
So yeah, so I didn't play very well the first like during those tournaments at IJDT, so didn't get any scholarship offers or anything. A friend of mine was going to community college in Arizona, knew the coach, and he kind of vouched for me. I came out there and played golf, and I was like number two or number three on the team. And then I really started to excel. Like I think that I was very raw at the time, and I could shoot anything from like 67 to like 84, depending on how the day
Sure.
went. Like really, really talented, but like I could spray it. I could hit it all over the place. I was like, okay, I need to kind of like organize my life a bit. So I went to New Mexico State University and I was in the professional golf management program there. So I'm like, okay, I want to play golf. Playing golf is like first, but like I also want to work in golf if that doesn't work out. So the professional golf management was
Yeah.
awesome. Like you kind of learn about every aspect of the golf industry. And at the
Yeah.
time I was really, really good. So I was ranked number one in Saudi. I was ranked top probably th two, three, four in the GCC countries, and then maybe top 15 in the Arab countries. So I was like, okay, I want to be competing. So the national team started to ask me to come back for a couple of events a year, and I started to get coached by uh, he was in Atlanta at the time, Rob Stokey. He's one of the best junior coaches in the States. I kind of knew him through the program, and he just tightened the right screw because like those 80 rounds went away. The 67 rounds went to like 65, 64s. And I started to shoot a lot more rounds in the 60s. And I went on a little bit of a tear here in the Middle East. I won the Dubai Desert Classic qualifier, played in the Desert Classic. I won a big regional event, the Qatar Open. I won the Pan Arab Individual Championships by 10 shots in Egypt. And like, I was like, keep the tournaments coming kind of thing.
So tell us about your experience at the Dubai Desert
So it
Classic
was
this summer.
crazy cool. Qualifying, seeing some of my heroes, seeing Tiger Woods smash records, and all of a sudden he's hitting balls three bays from me. I'll tell you a funny story actually. So Tiger Woods is warming up at the end of the range, and there's like nobody, and then maybe 15 bays are empty, and then Darren Clark and then other players are warming up. Tiger Woods gets bored of hitting balls in the heat, and he starts rifling these low running shots at Darren Clark as Darren Clark's like hitting shots. And then Darren Clark looked at him and starts like giving him the what's going on. And now they're rifling like pitch shots at each other with like people in the way. And I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, what's going on here? Um, so we start the
Yeah.
first day and I didn't know what to expect. And I go par birdie, par birdie. And I look up on the right side of the green and I'm like one back of Henrik Stenson and Ernie Els. And then very, very quickly the oxygen left from whatever atmosphere I was sitting at. Made a couple of bogeys. I think I ended up shooting like 6 or 7 over, and then 6 over the second day to miss the cut. But what an experience that was.
Talk a little bit about that because this is always interesting to me because there's a number of players that talk about kind of like a turning point moment from when they went from like average good golfer to like elite level. Paul Azinger talks about when he was in college, there was one summer that he just started playing golf every day at a course that he was working at, and he just something clicked, and all of a sudden he
Mm.
was shooting scores he had never shot before. And it's something, especially with the people who watch Be Better Golf. Like I meet a lot of people who have like, especially with the handicap system, because the way the handicap system is like you can be like a +2,
Yeah,
but you can shoot like 80, on a given day. So talk about kind of like technically what were some of the things for you that got the big numbers to go from like maybe being a triple bogey to being a bogey.
back then I had a really loose, loopy swing. A lot of lag, like way outside, way underneath, and like save it with my legs massively, just
Mm-hmm.
like massive hip turn. And I think it was just getting my backswing under control because I could create power. I'm not very big, but I could create a lot of speed from my frame using my lower body. But the problem I think was where I set the club in the backswing and how I got there to set the club. So a lot of the stuff we worked on was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
keeping my arms glued to my body and kind of like limiting my backswing, if that makes sense. And then transition stuff, like a lot of half
Oh yeah.
swings, a lot of like 3/4 shots, punchy shots. And he gave me a shot that I knew I could go to under pressure, which is like just like a 3/4 hold off punch
Yeah.
shot that I knew no matter what I was going to hit the middle of the green with, or I could attack any pin with if I had to. And just that. And then I was so determined to like compete. I think the turning point for me was at New Mexico State. I was around the golf team and I was around the program maybe had 100 professional golfers that like aspiring professional golfers, even if they wanted to work in the industry, probably 20 or 30 of those guys were like +4 handicaps who could shoot under par any day.
Sure.
The program would put on 2 tournaments a week for us, like just learn how to run an event, play an event, stuff like that. And then we had a game every single day. So like I think the turning point for me was like during those games. I was kind of like at a crossroads in my life where I was like, am I going to continue to go to college? Am I going to try and turn professional? What am I going to do? Like, what's the best path here? Because I was leaving school 3 times a semester to go to the Middle East to play golf tournaments. So I told my parents, like, look, I'm playing really, really good golf here. And like, I'm kind of not focused on school 100%. I'm not focused on golf 100%. So like, I really want to give this golf thing a run. And I was on a scholarship from the government at the time, an educational scholarship from Saudi. Um, So I told my parents like, look, I can pause my scholarship. I can go try and play professional golf for a while and see how far I can go because it was unheard of at the time to have a professional golfer from the Middle East. Unheard of, like or someone that's gonna aspire to play
Yep.
European tour
Yeah.
or Asian tour or PGA tour, like not even a conversation piece. So convinced my parents, I packed my stuff up and I moved to Dubai and unfortunately, things didn't go according like how I thought they would go. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna grind 6 hours a day. I'm gonna play big events, and I'm gonna get to like this level where I can be one of the top Asian tour players, and then it's continue to progress. But I found myself digging a hole on the driving range. Like I got some really, really good tutelage. So the Butch Harmon Academy had just opened at the time in Dubai, and Claude Harmon was the director of instruction there. Great, great golf coach, unbelievable guy. And he was coaching me, helping me out. But I think I wasn't mature enough at the time to go through the changes to make myself a better golfer and to live a different lifestyle. So I think I just assumed I'd put the work in and the results would come. And and I think mentally I wasn't strong enough to make better decisions because I felt like a massive weight on my shoulders. When I quit school, I was like, my parents have taken a massive risk here to let me play golf full time and chase my dreams. So I found myself in a tournament. Every time I make a bogey, that's the first thing I thought of. Then I make another bogey, and then I make another bogey, and then I
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
grind on the range for 8 hours, and I'd not rest. And I like lost my way massively. And I went from never shooting above 73, 74 to not being able to break 80. And I'm putting in hours and
Mm.
hours and
So
hours
there
with the
was
best coaches.
so there was a lot of moralization going on. I hit a
Yes.
bad shot, I'm not a good son. I hit a good shot, I'm a great son. A concept that doesn't
Yes.
quite gel with the game of golf because it's really very, very separate statuses, if you will. One has nothing to do with the other, but you kind of
100%.
conflated the both of them together. And that kind of and that drove you out of the game for a while back to Aramco, where you worked in the contracts department. So what happened at Aramco that made you say, "Hey, look, this is not me. Pro golf is me. Go
So
back to
so
where you
after the
came
two
from."
years in Dubai, depression, I pull myself up and I'm like, I'm gonna go back to school and finish finance degree. Finish finance degree, get a great job with Aramco and contracts. And I did great at my job. Really excelled, but I just felt like something was missing. Like I just felt like I could be doing so much more with my life. No disrespect to people that do that full time. I just felt like I had a different path. So I started to practice again by myself. I just missed golf and I missed the sport. So I started to practice again and I started to get really, really well, really, really, really good again, hitting the ball amazing. And I fell in love with the game again. And a couple of years after that, I started to like compete regionally. The MENA tour started, the MENA Professional Golf Tour, which is a developmental tour here in the Middle East. I started to compete and I'd make cuts and I was shooting some really, really good scores. And then I got put in this elite athlete program, which made me like a full-time athlete. The dream came back again. Like I was super lucky because at the time when I wanted to turn professional, there was this big push, this big transformation in Saudi with sport, entertainment, education. The whole country went through a big like seismic shift. So I got a lot of support. Golf Saudi is one of the big independent entities here under the Saudi Golf Federation, is doing a lot of cool things in this in the game of golf. And they kind of came along in 2019 when I was trying to turn professional and kind of like became a very, very big supporter of mine and became one of my first sponsors. So when they had the first Saudi International, all my dreams came to fruition. Like I turned professional. I'm playing a big professional event in Saudi Arabia, which I never thought would happen. And I'm kind of like starting to scratch the surface of my dreams, like something I've always wanted. Wanting to leave a lasting impact, wanting to inspire people to do something different. If a Saudi person who had no golf courses is playing professional golf, I haven't reached many of my goals yet, but I'm chasing my goals. I'm putting myself out there to be criticized, but happily. Like I think I can do great things in the game of golf in Asia and around the world, and I hope my journey can inspire people to go out and chase their dreams. Maybe the next Tiger Woods or the next Serena Williams. If I can be a very, very small part of that, just by being on shows like this, by putting myself out there in big events and doing well and how I carry myself, I think this is kind of like the push that we needed. And the thing that really touched me is during the first Saudi International, I played terribly. I didn't play very well. I told myself, this is a privilege to be out here playing. It's not a right. So I need to enjoy this. I had families walking with me, and I'm hitting it all over the place. And they're cheering for me and they're happy. And I'm like, to them, it doesn't matter. To them, they see someone that looks like them, that talks like them, that's been brought up like them, competing with the best in the world. And when the parents went up to my parent, when the kids' parents went up to my parents and said, "Look, you did a great job. He's an inspiration for our kids." That kind of like brought a tear to my eye. Even I shot 80, 80 something, and I missed a cut.
So this is a totally different
Yes,
attitude than you had at the Desert Classic when you went and
100%,
were going to try to beat Tiger
100%.
Woods by
I think
5
this
shots or
game will
something. Yeah,
humble
right.
all of us,
Yeah,
the best in the world, and and
sure.
and the thing is, like,
Absolutely.
I think
Hmm.
also from 21 to 31 makes a big difference, right? We've been through a lot of things in our lives, and it's been an unreal journey, and I can't wait to keep going. I was leading an Asian Development Tour event in Saudi a couple of weeks ago. I shot 65, 66, leading the event. That's never been done before. So like, if I can lead for 2 rounds, I can lead for 3 rounds. If I can lead for 3 rounds, I can win an event. You know what I mean? Like, these are these small like tick marks. Just keep
Sure.
like checking the boxes, keep doing the right work.
Let's talk a little bit about through the new Live Tour. I heard that they're going to be bringing the MENA Tour back. Is this going to present any more
So
opportunities for you
the
to
MENA
play globally?
tour took a little bit of a hiatus through COVID, and then through the partnership with Live,
Hmm.
there was some opportunities to put on some big events. We played two events in Saudi. There's going to be two more events in Egypt coming up. But I'm playing mainly on the Asian tour now. I have an Asian tour category, and
Hmm.
through my sponsors, I have some pretty cool invites on the international series on the Asian tour. So I'm getting to play some really, really good events there. And the MENA tour is just going to help players like myself and my teammates that are now going to turn professional from Saudi, hopefully in the next year or so, to kind of have some playing opportunities, play those events, and you play bigger events, and you come back and play the smaller events and gain some experience, and then kind of like go through the motions of like gaining experience, and then why not having 10 Middle Eastern golfers on the Asian tour? I think we've been like having the Asian tour come to Saudi Arabia and
Yeah.
having the Asian development tour come to Saudi Arabia and us getting to play with amazing players from Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Australia. We have a lot of Americans that play. It's been cool because like a lot of these barriers are broken down and like, okay, he hit that shot, I can hit that shot. And we're seeing it much more consistently as opposed to one time a year at a major, major event. We're seeing all levels of golf being represented in the Middle East now.
So what are the initiatives that you and
So
Saudi Golf are
so
working on
it's so
to
crazy
improve the
because
game?
Golf Saudi is super ambitious. I'm super ambitious about how we think the game of golf can make people have a better life. I think that's the main goal, right? Is to introduce a country and a region to a sport that's not well known, opening doors to work in the golf industry, opening doors to play golf, opening doors to compete in golf. So a lot of the initiatives are in the schools, but we had a big problem because of COVID, right? So it's tough to get 1,000 people involved in an activity when you're sharing clubs, when you're sharing equipment and being in tight confined spaces, even if it's big. So it's kind of been slow, but now everything's getting accelerated. We have a really, really cool initiative called Ladies First, where we introduced 1,000 ladies to golf, free membership, free golf lessons, bring your friends, come try golf, and then opening a segue for them to become golfers. And then now there's a massive school program happening that's going to be launched, that has been launched at some pilot schools, that's going to go national. We're going to have people experiencing golf in shopping malls, at golf tournaments, at big sporting events other than golf. And I think a lot of people ask why golf, and I think we know as golfers, right? You're around people of you're around multicultural people, you're around people from different classes of living, and the things the game of golf can teach us about experience, about being patient, about how to deal with adversity. Like these are things that the game of golf can provide. And I always market golf as it's the only sport where a mom, a dad, and a son and a daughter can go out and compete from different tee boxes and have a great time playing the sport. And I think the problem we have now is my generation, and I'm sure your generation was an outdoors generation. Like we want it to be outdoors all the time. I want to go to the park. I want to go to the soccer field. I want to go to the golf course. I want to go to tennis court.
Yeah.
I want to be outside with my friends. Unfortunately, now we're seeing a generation that, because of electronics, like phones are awesome. Like I'm glued to my phone all the time. But like people want to play games. They want to watch movies. They want to watch TV series. More and more, we're spending time indoors as opposed to outdoors. And I think the country is seeing that, look, we need to get people more involved in sport. Hopefully one day we can jump on another podcast and we can talk about a world champion from Saudi Arabia, from the Middle East, and because of some of the cool things that have happened, and
That's
some
pretty
of
exciting.
just the world is way more connected than it used to be.
Well, this was really exciting. Thanks, Optin. We're gonna keep updated with you and be following you with your journey.
So I'm in
So
here.
what's
I'm
coming
here in
up
Dubai
next for
doing
you
some
as far
training
as
for a couple
playing
more
golf?
days, and then the Saudi International, which is the premier event on the Asian Tour in Jeddah, and then I'm gonna play the International Series in Oman and Qatar, and then hopefully some cool results and keep going on the Asian Tour.
Hang
That's
on,
great.
Othman.
So
Before we
Where can
sign
people
off,
find your
Almulla,
social media stuff?
OTHMAN dot ALMULLA on Instagram, and that's probably gonna be the best place to follow me for all my updates. Thank you guys for your time.
all right.
All right,
Thanks, Othman.
bye.
Thanks, Brandon.